Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the Dilemmas of the Book Nerd tag. I was tagged by the lovely Chloe from Chloe Reads Books, and so I will put her video up here. If you're not subscribed to her, you should be. She's an absolutely brilliant booktuber. I think she's kind of quite underrated. More people should be following her. I really like the way that she talks about books. She's just got this really direct, fun way of talking about stuff. Our reading tastes don't cross over massively, but I still watch and enjoy all of her content. So yeah, I would really recommend her, and that you should go and check her out. She was kind enough to tag me in this tag, although to be fair, even if she hadn't, I probably would have done it anyway because it's a really good one. I will leave in the description who the original creator was, because I'm actually, at the time of filming, I'm not sure who that was. So I will leave that in the description for you along with the questions. And so yeah, let's get into it. As usual, I've got my trusty red notebook with all the questions written down because my memory is terrible. So question 1, storage. How do you store and organise your books? So I have 3 bookshelves in my house. I've got a long bookshelf which is up here in the lounge. It's just like 2 planks of wood, which has got my book rainbow on it. Those are all paperback books with nicely coloured spines. And then I also have this beauty, which is my pride and joy, and I will leave the bookshelf tour up there for you to watch. This was my birthday present from Gary, and it's my favourite thing in my house, and this has got all of my other books on it, and I kind of just put stuff together in a way that is aesthetically pleasing to me. Some books are obviously put up normally, like horizontally. Other ones I lay flat, like these over here, and I like to have a good mixture so that it's not just like books from start to finish. All of the books down here are books that I've read. Any books that are unread go upstairs into our bedroom, and I've got 3 little shelves up there that have got my unread books on. At the time of filming this, I'm filming this at the end of November. I've just put together my December TBR, and my TBR lives on the middle shelf of those 3 shelves. And I do have quite an old bookshelf tour, which I'll leave in the description, which shows the bookshelves in our bedroom and the book rainbow. It's an old video though, so try not to laugh. Yeah, so my currently reading TBR is on the middle shelf of those 3 shelves, and then any other books that I've not read that are waiting to be read or go onto a TBR go onto the bottom shelf. At the time of filming this, I've only got 4 books on that shelf, because I've been doing really well recently at getting through my physical TBR and not buying more books. Also, Christmas is coming up. I'm a huge book nerd, and I'm kind of hoping that people will buy me books or book vouchers. Either is great. So yeah, that's how I organise and store my books. And then once I've read them, they go up into our spare room for a bit until I've done my wrap up, and then they will either go out to be lent to other people, which I'll talk about in a minute, or into the stack to be unhauled and go to the charity shop, or they will come down onto my keeper bookshelves, and be stored that way. So yeah, that was kind of a long answer to that, but that is how I keep and store my books. Question 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what you read and what books you own? So I use GoodReads. I will leave my link in the description, although I'm not very good at using it for like socialising. I literally just use it to track the books I've read, my star rating, and the books that I want to read. I think on my GoodReads TBR at the moment I've got around 30-ish books. I try and keep it to under 40, otherwise I start to get overwhelmed. Oh hello, cat's coming in here, so you might see him walk past in a second. You coming up for a cuddle? No, he's just gonna walk past. Yeah, so I use GoodReads mostly just to keep track for my reading challenge for the year, but also to see what my friends are reading, what their star ratings are on books that I want to read. But yeah, I'm not great on using it as like social media. I tend to use Twitter and Instagram for that. But I do also physically write down the books that I read in my V notebook, which I think my friend Jen bought me a couple of Christmases ago, and I literally just list out all the books that I've read that month and then the page count at the end, because it just helps me see how many pages I'm reading, how many books I've finished. And then also in the back I've been keeping track of like the classics and the non-fiction that I've read this year, which were 2 of my intentions for the year. So I do like to physically write it down, but I do also mostly use GoodReads to keep track. Next question. Now I've lost my page with all the questions on, so that's smooth as usual. Right, question 3, borrow. Do you lend your books out? Yes, I do. I know a lot of people don't like to do it. I have no problem with lending my books out. If I have read a book, then I'm happy to lend it out. I wouldn't lend out a book I hadn't read yet, because I haven't read it yet. But if I've read it, you can have it. That's fine. There are some editions of books that I probably wouldn't lend out. These books here, this is the Jane Austen collection, her completed works, and I wouldn't lend those out. But also, I haven't physically read these books. These ones are just because they're pretty and I like having them all together. I've got other copies of those books that I would happily lend out to people. So yeah, on the whole, I don't have a problem lending out books. I lend books quite regularly to my mother-in-law, also to my mum sometimes. My friend Amy and I often swap books. I've had some great books from Amy this year. And yeah, I haven't got a problem with it at all. And if I can have it back within 6 months, then that's cool. And that's pretty much it. Also, as I've probably said in other videos before, I am quite hard on books that I read, so I tend to crack the spine anyway myself. I try not to do it with other people's books, obviously, but you know, I've already read it, so you crack on. I hope you enjoy it. That's kind of my view on it. Buying. How do you buy or acquire your books? So on payday, I get paid the last Friday of every month. On payday, I will allow myself to buy 3 books. This year I've been aiming to read 1 non-fiction and 1 classic a month, and usually that's what I will go and buy, usually at Waterstones, or there's a Mr. B's bookshop around the corner from my office, which is a really lovely independent bookshop in Bath, and then usually 1 other. I haven't bought any books for quite a while because it was coming up to Christmas, and also because I was trying to get through my physical TBR, because I don't love having loads of unread books. It kind of stresses me out. And like seeing them all on my shelf unread, I find quite stressful. So I try not to buy too many books in a go. I'm also very lucky in that people tend to buy me books quite a bit. I mean, like birthday and Christmas is usually the prime time, and book vouchers is also, I love a book voucher. Some people are always like, oh, it seems like a really boring thing to buy you. No, are you crazy? Like, you're giving me permission to go and buy a book that I want. That's amazing. That's gonna be the best gift ever. Yeah, so I tend to do it that way. Next year I really want to get into using the library a lot more, because I've only borrowed 1 book from the library this year, which is shameful. So hopefully if I did this tag next year, there'd be a slightly different answer to that question. Comments. How do you respond to the "how do you read so much" comment? I get this all the time. At the time of filming this, I've finished 139 books in the year, which is crazy. I finished last year on 74, so my reading this year has accelerated massively, which makes me so happy. But I always get this comment, and I just do. I think it's like anything, you just make time for the things that are important to you. Like, I don't care about going to the gym, so I don't, but I've got plenty of friends and family around me that go like 3 or 4 times a week, and I think that's amazing. I'm kind of like, how do you make yourself do that? But you just prioritise the things that you want to do. I want to read, I need to read for my mental well-being, and I do it because I enjoy it. It's what I do for downtime. I read on my lunch break. I read via audiobook in the car on my commute to and from work every day. I read for at least an hour in the evenings. You know, Gary and I will come home, have dinner, do any chores that need doing, like hang laundry out, all that fun stuff, and get ready for the next working day. And then we'll sit on the sofa. He'll usually be watching some kind of car or property show usually, and I will read for an hour or so, and then we'll sometimes watch some Netflix together and then go to bed, and that's kind of our evening. So I'm probably reading, probably physically reading at least 2 hours a day, and then also via audiobook at least another hour a day. So it all adds up, and it's something I enjoy. I kind of hate that question because it's a little bit judgmental, like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing to be doing with your time. It's what I enjoy spending my time doing, and I make it a priority. Next, wow, I had some opinion on that. Question 6, next book. How do you choose your next read? So I put together monthly TBRs. I never film TBR videos because I tend to read those books in the month, so it feels like my TBR and my wrap up is just going to be the same video, and I think that'd be really boring. Plus I can't tell you what I think of those books yet because I haven't read them. I do have a love watching people's TBR videos, and I think it's amazing how creative people can get with them. So I love watching all of those kind of things. But I personally don't post TBR videos on my channel. I do usually post a picture on my Bookstagram of the books that I want to read in the following month. Like I said, I'm filming this in November, and I've just put together my December TBR, so there'll be a picture of that by the time this video goes up, and I will link my Bookstagram in the description. But I just, unless I'm buddy reading, and so I've got a certain week to read that book, I will just start at the top of the stack and work down. That's pretty much it. Hardback books I tend to try and keep at home just because they're heavy to lug around. So usually I will have 3 books on the go. I'll have 1 book that I'm reading at home, which is usually a hardback or a bigger book or whatever, one in my handbag, which I read at work, which is usually a paperback, and then one audiobook, which I'm reading in the car or when I'm walking to and from appointments, that kind of thing. So yeah, I usually start the stack and work downwards, unless there's any particular reason to read a book at a certain time in the month. So there we go. Travel. How do you pick which books to take on holiday with you? It literally depends what I'm reading at the time. If I'm going away on holiday, then I usually allow one book a day, because that's usually what I get through, and then one book per day of travel as well. So yeah, you just grab whatever I'm reading. I'm not picky, and like I said, books are my priority, so even if it's a big book, I will just make space for it in my luggage. Annotate. Do you write in, highlight, or mark up your books in any way? No. And that's no judgment of people that do, because I've seen some really cool videos of people annotating their books. I think for me, because I studied books at GCSE, A-level, and then in 2 degrees, to me, annotating books just feels like work. So I don't. And yeah, I think that probably surprises people, because I am quite tough on the books that I read. Like I said, I do crack the spine, I do dog-eared pages, I don't fold pages. I've got this weird thing, like, use a bookmark, do not fold the pages of a book. But no, annotating and stuff is just not for me. If I like a line or a paragraph in a book, I'll sometimes write it down in a notebook, or I'll take a picture of it, post it on Bookstagram, but no, in general, not for me. Question 9, new or backlist? Which do you prefer, new releases or backlist? I don't care. I don't really have any preference. I don't buy a lot of new releases just because I'm tight and they're usually expensive. So unless I'm really excited for it to come out, like The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, for example, I will usually wait till it's in paperback or it's a bit cheaper or whatever. But yeah, I really don't have a preference. If I find an author that I really like, for example, Steve Kavanagh, who wrote 13, I loved that book, and I'm currently working my way through his backlist. I've read the first 2, the second book's upstairs because I haven't done my wrap up yet. So I will go back in and read Backlist. Hollyborn's another one. I actually absolutely loved her Spinster trilogy, which I read this year, and I'm currently working my way through her backlist. But in general, all books, good books, I'm happy to read new release if I can get my hands on it for the right price, or a backlist. I think both are great. Question 10, last question. Sequels. Do you read books as they are released, or wait for an entire series to be published before reading book 1? I am not that picky. I don't read a lot of series, actually. I'm trying to think of series that I'm reading. I am reading the C.J. Sampson historical fiction series, which you can see 4 of the books there. That's a series that's finished, and actually, I think I said it in a recent video. I'm actually deliberately reading those slowly because I don't want the series to be over, and I know I'm going to be sad when it's done. Equally, I'm happy to read books as they come out, so I don't really have a good answer for that one. It depends when I get into the series, I guess. I won't deliberately, because I don't really follow the new releases, so I don't always know when a series has started, and then I'll randomly read the first book and then be like, oh, I really like these, and carry on. So yeah, either or. I don't really have a great answer for that one, I'm sorry. Right, finally, I'm going to tag 3 people who at the time I'm filming this haven't done this tag, but it has been going around, so they might have done it by now. But ladies, you are tagged because I really want to know your opinions, and that is Harriet from Harriet Rosie Reads, Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, who by the way has got one of the best channel names ever. I blooming love her channel name, and Anne from Wibbly Wobbly Book Nerd. So the 3 of you are tagged. I will link anyone that I've mentioned in this video in the description below. You should go and check them all out. They're all fab booktubers, and I really hope you guys do this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye.